The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
This is Micah from Waxpanel, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today it's an honor and a privilege to have Micah Lindner. He's the vocalist of Waxpanel. Waxpanel was formed in 2008 and have released their debut album, For Those Left Standing, out now via Pavement Entertainment. So we're going to be talking to him about that. So, Micah, how's it going, man?
It's going great. John, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I really appreciate your time.
Not a problem whatsoever. We're going to dive right into this and get to talking about Waxpanel's debut album. This is the follow-up to your guys' EP. So, first off, how's it been working with Pavement Entertainment?
It's been great. We got signed about a year ago, and over this last year, they had a open submissions thing online. So they encouraged people to submit music to the roster, and I had been sending our music out for many years. And so I sent our music out, and Tim got back to me the following day with a record contract in the email, and it's been really awesome, you know. And so over the last year, we decided that we wanted to just not, we had 6 songs at the time, was a beginnings EP, and we decided to add more songs to that. So we went to the recording studio again, finished up some more songs, and then we compiled that together for a 12-song album, and that's for Those Left Standing, as you mentioned. It's been really great working with them. And to further answer your question, they've been very patient while we were in the studio and very supportive, and it's been amazing. You know, Barbara's been hooking us up with a lot of great interviews, and Tim and Mark, they really know what they're doing. So I have nothing but positive things to say, and I really look forward to many more years together with Pavement Entertainment. So.
Yeah, I like working with Barbara, and there's many others that I like working with out there because they see how hard it is for bands to do all this, and you know they're wanting to get these bands out there and get their voice to be heard, and I like that. I like that there's still these little home net groups, as I call them, to help out bands like that.
Yeah, amen. Because they gave us a chance. You know, it's been really hard. Just like with any other band, you know, it's a similar story. You know, I sent out our music for many years. We're a Christian rock band, so we weren't getting any responses with Christian labels, and Pavement Entertainment just liked our sound, liked our music, they liked the song The Struggle. And so, you know, they give a voice to some independent bands like ourselves and many others on the roster, and we're just blessed to be a part of their team. So it's just exciting because the album was released just last week on last Friday. So it's still so fresh right now.
Perseverance, my friend, that's the key thing. You never give up and you never back down. When one door shuts, eventually one door will stay open for you guys.
Seriously, thank you so much. It's been a long journey. Waxpanel's I've been doing it for 11 years with this band, and been a lot of lineup changes and a lot of ups and downs along the way. And a lot of bands probably would have quit by then, and we just want to stay the long haul, you know. So as long as we can physically make music, we want to put it out there. And so now it's awesome to have this platform that we've been blessed with Pavement Entertainment and the album. And so the album name comes for Those Left Standing. There's 3 of us in the band still. Like I said, there's been a lot of people come and go. That's part of, I guess, a lot of bands out there. You know, just things change over time.
Maybe it was just meant to be just you 3 guys, you know?
Well, yeah, and what we're doing is we're auditioning a second guitarist right now. We have, in our album, we have kind of this eclectic sound, keep describing it, and so there's different elements that we need to have that we put on the album. We need to do that live. So there's a need for a keyboardist in the future. Right now we're trying to find just our second guitarist, but the 3 of us are ready to go. We're working on getting the band in the trailer. We have plans to start touring this next year to support the album, but just to get out there and get our message out there to different places.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making the debut album for those left standing? What stands out to you mostly about this album, man?
Well, listening back on it, it's just a journey. The songs were compiled over the last 5 years. They started out with 2 singles, Dying Inside and Believe, and then that progressed into our Beginnings EP, and then we added on to that, and that's the album. So when I listen to it, it's just a journey. And so it has band members that aren't with us anymore. And so it's like a chapter in history. And then it's songs all the way up into these last couple of years, like My Life for You and From Here. Those are recent songs, last couple of years. And so our second album is going to be recorded in all one studio in about a week time up in Chicago is what we're planning. So it's going to be quite different. We have a lot of songs left over, but it was an amazing journey. We were, for 5 years, we worked with the producer, David Castell, and we recorded it in Dallas, Fort Worth. We recorded parts of it in Austin. We recorded parts of it in San Antonio as well.
I'm going to ask this question, and it's crazy I even have to ask this question, but unfortunately it's the time of the world that we live in right now. But being a Christian metal band, have you had more success getting shows, or have you seen folks stray away from it, which is crazy? It's crazy if somebody has to think that, oh, we're going to stray away from this, but Christian metal bands are awesome. The music's awesome. It's all music, folks. I mean, I wish that they would quit labeling things like this, because it's just music and they all have a message.
Right. Well, we started out, the first several years as a writer, I would write the message more with poetry about our beliefs, and I would try to put it in our music that way. And when we played shows, live shows, I really wasn't discussing God, Jesus, our beliefs. And over the course of the time, God showed me that that's not the way for us, or what we need to be doing with what we believe. So the way I look at it is like, if you went to a death metal show or black metal or something like that, those bands, for what they believe, they don't have there's no shame with what they believe. You see what I'm saying? They put it out there. So you either like it, accept it, or you don't. You see what I'm saying? And so for Waxpanel, we just have to be real with ourselves and the audience and say that we are a Christian band. And so what we do is we just open our shows in prayer, and we just play our songs, and we explain what the songs are about. And people come to us after the show, and we might pray for them if they ask us to, or if we see a need, and discuss more about our beliefs. But we don't try to shove that down people's throats. We believe that that's the truth. We believe that Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven. But we want people to listen to our music and then just be able to talk with what's going on in their lives, So that's the best way I could explain it, brother.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I said, and you hit the nail on the head right there. It's either you like it, accept it, or you don't. It's just that simple. Yeah,
we haven't really had any pushback yet, but I do know bands that have had that, and we understand it goes to the territory. There might be some bands that I know that they go on and they explain their testimony for a few minutes live, and they preach the gospel, and sometimes maybe people will boo and whatnot, but they definitely are making an impact, because there's other people that appreciate that, and they become to Christians themselves. And so that's what we're trying to do, is spread the gospel through our music. And we also write songs about people's everyday lives, as far as like beginnings, for instance, and the struggle. Those kinds of songs are just trying to encourage people to push forward in the face of adversity. So I believe that there's music in our album for everybody. If you're a Christian or non-Christian, you listen to some of the songs, and then hopefully you'll listen to the other ones. But it's in God's hands at that point. You know what I mean?
Now, I know that you guys had the previous EP before the debut album, and I know you mentioned that you took these songs from the EP and added these new ones to just make a full length. But are there any songs standing out more to you than any right now, if possible, on this complete album? Because I know it must change from every time you listen to it, but are there any that stand out for you?
Well, they all do, in their own ways, because like I said, so like for instance, Dying Inside, it's a different scream. My drummer, Steve Thundersticks, he's doing those backup screams now, because on that album, Ian's no longer with us. You know what I mean? Same thing with Bleeding Misery. He was singing those backup harmonies with me. So when I play that live, it's different. It's different voices now. So it's different now listening to it in the live situation. My Life for You is, the first song I ever wrote about Jesus and just being a bold message. So that stands out to me because I play that song actually every Sunday in church. So I'll sit there and I'll smile to myself because I'm like, wow, this song has just been released to the world, and and so it's pretty awesome going through all the songs and listening to them and say, well, it's just like a time in history, and they all have their own little meanings. When I listen to Beginnings, for instance, I think back to when it was just Steve and I, and half of our band had quit. And so it's a song about pushing forward and just not giving up. There's a lot of things going on in people's lives that get you down. And so we try to encourage people, if you're going through anything, just give us a call. Well, reach out to us, I should say, on Facebook, like message us, on Twitter. There's all the different platforms. And we'd love to talk to people, and help any way we can.
I always tell folks, I hear a lot of people saying, I can't do this, I can't do that. They're just obstacles, folks. Just find a way to get around it. It's just plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But unfortunately, there's I don't know. It just seems like times have changed, from when I was growing up. And there's a lot of things that cause people to just think that it's the end, something's going on. And so their lives mean something. They're loved, they're valued. So reach out to us. We're more than just the music is just for us. It's a tool for us to be able to reach people with what we believe. So that's the higher calling for what we do. Yeah. So some person struggles, like for instance, the struggle. I know the struggle is real. Just trying to take a phrase that was thrown around a lot and just try to put it into a relatable song.
Now, how was work with producer Anthony Santo on this album? He was part of this, correct?
Yeah, he was. Well, the thing was, it was different. We had different people along the way. So what happened was we had David Castell for like all the beginnings EP, right? And then so we started to do other songs, and we recorded in Austin with Anthony, and it just didn't turn out the way that we had planned. So we went back with David Castell, and we basically redid everything except for a couple of vocal tracks. So the only thing that was left from those Anthony sessions in Austin were the vocal tracks to like Absolution and I think Suitcase, just a couple. Everything else had to be rebuilt. And so the whole meat and potatoes of the album is with David Castell. Some of those things were finished up in his home studio up there in Dallas-Fort Worth. We recorded up in Empire Studios in Dallas-Fort Worth. And then, like I said, there was some stuff that was recorded in San Antonio, our hometown, and then Austin. So it's very eclectic first debut album with band members over multiple tracks, years span, you see what I'm saying, in multiple studios.
Yeah.
So
what do you
quite the journey.
What do you hope everyone takes away from this new album, or just what do you hope that they get while they're listening to it, or just any of Waxpanel's music in general, Micah?
What I'm hoping that they get through is the lyrics are very important to the message behind the music. So the message behind our music are either stuff about our lives personally, or they're about our beliefs in Jesus Christ and that He's the way to heaven. So I try not to write, not that there's anything wrong with just writing kind of big poetry, but I'm trying to write really direct stuff. So Believe and Suitcase, for instance, where my struggles in my marriage, and I have 2 beautiful kids now. And some people out there might feel like they need to give up. And those songs are encouraging people to keep pushing forward. Maybe they have to reach out to their church and go through counseling, but try not to give up. Beginnings is the same kind of message, the struggle. And then you get into more direct songs like My Life for You and From Here. And those are, songs that are, straight up proclaiming the name of Jesus. So we're just unashamed. And what I hope people get out of this is that message, from the Bible. And we just are hoping that we can convey that clearly through the music. And then, like I keep saying to people, is we do want people to contact us and on social media and talk to people too. So we don't want to be a band that you can just listen to and just think, well, you can't reach out to, So I want people to understand that there's hope for them and that there's life, there's value in their life. So to not give up, and that we love them and we're praying for them.
So I want to give out a shout out to the artist who did the artwork for this album. Who did the artwork on this album for you guys?
I hope I'm saying his name right. Is Emmanuel. I've never met him in person. He does artwork around town. And I wish I was real tech savvy. I could look up his information real quick, but I was so paranoid of just like hanging up on you on accident. But he's done artwork for many artists around town. And so his artwork was so awesome with them that I was like, well, I got to reach out to this guy. And so I contacted him and we just texted each other. And I explained to him, I wish you could see my original drawing because it looked like a kindergartner drew it. But I had this concept that I conveyed to him, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is a journey, like I'm explaining to you. And so I want it to be like, there was a lot of people involved in our past. And so I tried to count up, I might have missed some people, but I tried to count up all the different people that were part of it. So they're the people that are on the cliff, and then there's a valley, and then you have to go up to the other side of the hill. And then if you look real clearly in the lighting, you can see a few of us, and that's the people in the band. So the album, For Those Left Standing, it came to me like about a year and a half ago, of that theme of, man, when we do get to the end of this journey, we need to put this album out for those of us that are left standing. So that's the journey. And so, and even there's 4 little beams of light. We even lost one person since the design of the, but the core that we have, myself and Steve and Fletch, we've been together for several years. So that's the whole message of the so he was able to take my little sketch and turn it into what you say.
So this has been more just of a fight for you guys to even stay together and get your stuff out there.
No kidding, man. For real. And it's just like, hey, we're just going to keep plugging away. You know, like I said, just we're just looking now to the van and the trailer and you know, we've talked to our jobs and figured that out, you know, how we're going to be able to tour in the future. And I think as every year that goes on, it gets a little smoother. It's just one of those things, like you said, it's part of life, and we're not in competition with anybody. You know what I mean? We're just out there to spread the gospel through our music. So we got to do this for the long haul. So, you know.
How much growth musically have you seen this band? And I know you guys went through some stuff and yourself go through up to the release of this debut album, or has it just been more of a personal growth for all of you guys involved with this?
It's been personal growth with all of us, because there was definitely times where we were having doubts about, you know, this whole process. As far as, it's a lot of sacrifices. So you're making, you know, you're doing what you can to support your family, but then you're also making payments to your producer and payments to the record label, and, you know, and you're praying about the songs and you're working on the songs. And, you know, like I said, this was a long journey. So it's like, when are you available in your schedule? And then going. And so I really believe that we learned so much from this. And so this next album, like we said, we have so many songs we have left over. We're going to send them to our labels, send them to the people that we're going to record with in the future. And we'll figure out ahead of time all the songs. We'll have them rehearsed really well. And we'll go in and knock it out in a week. And I think that once we leave, you know, we come back to San Antonio, Texas, it's like, awesome. Now it's in the hands of somebody else. And then we just get our products back, you know? Right. So we're definitely looking forward to round 2. But this first album was like, we wanted to put something out there that was really strong. We believe that we were able to achieve.
Do you like to do anything differently during that writing and recording process to, you know, to help keep your mind fresh and open, to not let the music get stale or boring? Do you do anything differently to help you out?
When I was first starting out with songwriting, because I've been doing songwriting in Waxpanel for about 11 years now. And so I used to have a lot of things where I used to just sit down and feel like I had to crank out a bunch of songs. And what I realize now in my life is sometimes you have to step away from things. You know, you're going through your life and you just kind of absorb these things. And then when you come back, you have a bunch of fresh ideas, you know. And so I try to change it up with different approaches. You know, I might attack it with acoustic guitar on certain songs, have these little melodies, record them in my phone. I work everything out first, and then I put the lyrics on last. That's at least the way that I do it. And so now it's changed over the years. You know what I mean? Like at the very beginning, I used to have all the lyrics first, and I used to try to force it into the music. And now I just think it's a more natural process as time has gone on. But yeah, there's been a lot of changes over the years. You know, and you know, there's even been, you know, other band members have contributed to the songwriting process. Steve, our drummer, he wrote "You Don't Say." Our bassist Fletch, he's writing some stuff too. So there could be songs in the future that have more of a group effort as well.
What can fans expect at a show from Waxpanel who have not got to see you guys live as of yet?
I picture it just probably be like maybe your normal bar experience in the beginning, and then we would get on stage and we would just say, hey, we're Waxpanel, and we start every show off with prayer, and that's just what we do. And I would just instantly go into a prayer, and I'd, pray for people's safety as they're coming to and from the bar, and there's a lot of dangerous things going on, and just basically pray for everybody to have a good time, but be safe, and to open up their hearts and minds to what we have to say, and our message for you, Jesus, or whatever God leads you to say. Say a quick prayer, and then we go straight into our songs. We do our heavy songs first, and we'll do a few of those, like Dying, usually do Dying Inside the End. We do like The Struggle and different songs, Absolution. Start the song out, set out with high energy, and then we just it kind of goes into, the pop, punk, rock type stuff in the middle, and then acoustic stuff. We like to do that now in our shows, so we might have it stripped down to where we put up some bar stools real quick and play a couple acoustic songs, and we stair-step it up to the electric stuff at the end. And then we just tell people good night, and we're available to talk to them about whatever after the show, and that's pretty much it, and just let the music flow, and that's just been the way we figured out the best way to do Waxpanel, what we're designed to do.
Now, we're living in the digital era of recording albums to get music out quicker. And plus, now we got social media to reach out to more folks who have not got to hear you guys as of yet. Do you like this that we're really living in now, possibly?
I think it could be easy to circulate your music. It might be a little easier than what it was in the past. In some ways, it's kind of hard. It's kind of a hard way to explain it. It's kind of a double-edged sword because there's just tons of stuff out there floating around now. But I mean, it has made it easy for if you get your music on a satellite radio, for instance, your music's all around the world. So that's what we're hoping to push our songs into next, and that way. And before it wasn't possible like that. You had to physically tour to those places, or it was a little harder, I would say. I've heard a lot of interviews from old school bands, and that's what they say. Like, man, if we had Twitter or whatever back in our day, all you had to do is click a button and boom, it's all over the place. So a lot of respect to those bands that were able to spread their messages all worldwide without our capabilities that we have nowadays. You know what I mean?
So how much local support does Waxpanel get via venues and airplay, if any, possibly?
Well, it just depends, man. It's just we have had different opportunities this last year through the church has been really awesome. We played at this Crusade 300 with Last Chance Ministries, and that was at the Alamo Dome, and there was a few hundred people out for that. We led worship for large church camp, hundreds of kids, and then sometimes we'll play in some bars, and there might be like 5 people. But it's if God can flow through us, and we say the right words for somebody, and it just takes one person. So it just depends as far as show attendance. I'm not gonna lie, we're a local band, and so we're just trying like all the other ones, but we just every year and just take it one day at a time, So the radio support, as far as that's concerned, it's been awesome. I encourage people to just not give up. Like I keep saying, I would get on my laptop and I would work my shifts, and I'm sending our music out to just labels, radio stations, places for write-ups, all kinds of stuff. So I was able to get our music played overseas in Australia and the UK, and it just, you never know. You never know where God can lead you the music. And so for us, and then our local station's been playing our music for the last several years, but you have to just not give up. You have to. And then I also think too is touring is our next step. We want to get out there and get it out there on the road. So
what does Waxpanel bring to the table for music that's not out there as of right now? Possibly, man. I know nobody's reinventing the wheel, but what does Waxpanel bring to it?
Well, I've had some of my friends give me some people I know give me feedback and say that it might be some of the most eclectic album if they've ever heard. Well, because it's got a lot of different things in there, from like hard rock to stuff that you'd hear maybe in church, and then it's just a little bit of everything. We're definitely, like it's other interviewers said, you definitely don't sound like your typical worship band, and I was like, well, definitely not, so I guess we could be viewed that way. And then I guess from a secular standpoint, music, well, this is different from any kind of Christian music that they were exposed to previously. We just try to bring our influences and just try to write the best music possible and try to find songs that people can relate to. So I don't know about reinventing the wheel, like you said too. There's so many great things out there, you know.
True,
so
very true.
We just have to be real, you know, and just that's what we're trying to do.
Stand behind the music that you can put out there and let it go, man. That's what you got to do.
Amen.
What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, Micah, that said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there?
At a very early age, I was just really exposed to that as a kid, and I just remember just like how music makes me feel. Like it just makes me feel so uplifted, you know. And I'd see my grandfather play, whether it was accordion or harmonica and guitar. There was always instruments around our house. So I picked it up at probably about 8 years old, and I've played all different kinds of instruments in my life: violin, piano, guitar. It's always been a part of my life. And then as I progressed into getting exposed to rock music and these different styles of music, it just was always something that I had to do. So I've always been in bands or had band rehearsals or figuring out when we're going to have band rehearsals, you know what I mean? Or writing songs. It's just always been, music's been, I even went to college for, a few years for a music education degree. I went into radio broadcasting for a while. So I don't know. I can't imagine my life without music. Let's put it that way.
We talked about this just a little bit, man, but is there a country that stands out or even shocks you that Waxpanel gets support from, or your music even gets played in that location?
Yes, I remember years ago just telling my wife, I was like, this is just so amazing, because I was able to send our music out, and this guy in Australia is going to be playing our music, and and then you sit there and you put your phone on speaker, and then it's like he comes up next and you hear the Australian accent, and he says Waxpanel, and then we go into like this punk rock type song they play, and I was like, that's awesome, because all these people right now are listening to it in Australia. And then it's happened, like I said, several times in the UK, and I just think that's amazing, because we're this band in San Antonio, Texas, and eventually, Lord willing, we'll be over there. But we wouldn't be able to do that without the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I see the bad points of social media, digital and all that stuff, but I also see the good points. You can reach out to a broader horizon of folks versus back in the day when you had to, you still got to self-promote, but you've got more people, more accessible on the internet.
Yes. And so, our band has been, the way to describe it is we've been in the trenches like all the other bands, playing local shows. We still are. And, but we've effectively used the internet. Our label is in Chicago. We're planning on going up there and recording and going up there in person. But you send your stuff out. They're like, okay, the stuff is good. I got it in my email. You know what I mean? I got the MP3. I got the whatever you send. And so I think that that's amazing. So I wasn't from the time of before the internet. You see what I'm saying? Like, so maybe the old timers, in some ways, they don't like it, but for me, that's all I've known. And so it's been very useful for us.
Okay. So I want to talk about your plans on going and recording this new album that's going to be coming out. Hopefully, are you going to try to put out this new album that you're going to be recording this year, or hold off till next year, possibly?
Well, Lord willing, what happens is that, for those left standing that we released last week, hopefully the music spreads and we can get more support and get basically the funds together and different resources that we need in a much quicker time. And so we have the music, ready to go. That's the nice thing. We have probably about, by the time we get ready to record a year from now, that's the goal. To be more precise with my answer is we'd like to, by the end of this year, to ideally be in the studio, because, why not? And we've been quoted prices that are a lot more affordable for us, and we have a lot more of a professional team, a wider network of people to work with. So I think that this next album, very well, I think it's likely that we could be a year from now recording in the studio, and I don't see why not, especially after everything that we've learned these last several years of recording.
Folks, you want to get out and check out Waxpanel's new album, their debuted album, For Those Left Standing. It's out now on via Pavement Entertainment, and you want to get out and check that out. So, Micah, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy this album from you guys, merchandise, tour dates when you go on tour, things like that? How can you do that, good sir?
Stay in touch with us on our Facebook page, Waxpanel on Facebook. We're on Reverb Nation, Twitter, SoundCloud, all those different places. Of course, you could find out our information from Pavement Entertainment, the website, our record label. We do have our show dates, and when we do go on tour, those will be posted on like bands in town and different apps or different places like that. Of course, our music, For Those Left Standing, is our debut album, and that's on iTunes, Amazon, all the different places. And then, I want to encourage people again, if you're going through just anything, just reach out to us. We'd love to start, making relationships, friendships, and talking with you. So we're always on our phones, and we have connections to it, so we can answer your questions and be there for you. So,
Micah, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for the show, good sir?
Oh, sure, I'd love to. This is Micah from Waxpanel, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey, everybody, stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our YouTube link, plus it has our podcast link, and soon a Twitch link as well. And also get out and check out Waxpanel, check out their music, and I'm pretty sure you guys will dig them. Micah, best of luck for all you guys, and you're welcome back on the show anytime.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you giving us this opportunity to speak with you and speak to the people out there and providing a platform for other artists. God bless you, and I appreciate this opportunity so much.
Thank you so much, man. I truly appreciate that. You have no idea. Trust me, you have no idea. Thank you.
Well, you have a great week, and I just can't wait to be back in the future.